viewers, welcome back. What's Unknown has been shaking up the meta, and today we're breaking down the Ember Amethyst deck. This color combination has been gaining popularity, and for good reason. It's built around one of the most hyped cards of this set, Dale, ready for his shot. In this video, I will walk you through every stage of playing this deck, from your early game options to the exact cards you need to win, which cards you should mulligan at the start of your game, and of course, the deck strengths and weaknesses. I will show you exactly what you need to know and why Dale is one of the most important cards in this deck. Let's start with our early game options. The goal in the first few turns is simple: set up your board, and most importantly, get Dale in play as fast as possible. We're playing the following cards in our early game: Illumineer, Will-O-the-Wisp, Grandmother Willow, Christopher Robin, Mowgli, Raja, and Dale. Illumineer is one of your best one-drops. She has the support ability, which means whenever she quests, she can add her strength to another character until the end of the turn. Will-O-the-Wisp is your other one-drop. It has 0 strength and 3 willpower, which means your opponent might have a hard time removing it in their opening turns. And when they remove it, the card goes back to your hand, giving you another option to ink or to play the character again. Grandmother Willow is one of the most important cards in the deck. This 2-cost character helps you pay 1 ink less for the next character you play. This gives you a discount every turn, and when you play her, you can immediately play a 1-cost character for free. This will help you get Dale out on the board sooner and play cards like Elsa on turn 4. Great value to have her on the board. Just remember, people will try to remove her, so be smart about when to exert her and when to keep her ready. Christopher Robin is your other 2-drop option. His underdog ability means if you're not the first player, you pay 1 less ink to play him. So when you're on the draw, Christopher Robin can come down for just 1 ink on turn 1, giving you a character that quests for 2 for 1 ink. Plus, he has 3 willpower, which means your opponent might have a hard time removing him on turn 2. Mowgli is a 2-cost character with a great ability. When you play him, your opponent has to reveal their hand and discard a non-character card of their choice. This is great to get rid of cards like Stream of Raging Fire, Under the Sea, or any item card, since this deck doesn't play any item removal. Raja is your turn 3 bodyguard, meaning opponents must challenge him before they can challenge your other characters. With 3 strength and 4 willpower, he is a wall that protects your board. And now, let's discuss the card that changes everything. Dale costs 4 ink, has 0 strength and 4 willpower, and at a first glance, you might wonder what he's doing in the deck. But its real power comes from his ability. During challenges, your characters deal damage with their willpower instead of their strength. That means every high willpower character in your deck suddenly becomes a massive threat. For example, Madame Mim, who has 3 strength and 7 willpower, now becomes a 7 damage challenger. Elsa, who has 2 strength and 5 willpower, becomes a 5 damage rush character. Iago with 6 willpower can now challenge for 6. Suddenly, your opponent is looking at a board full of characters they cannot challenge without losing their own characters. And even better, you don't have to exert Dale for his ability to go off. So in summary, Dale is the reason this deck works. And getting him down on turn 3 because of the Grandmother Willow's discount is the moment the game shifts in your favor. Now let's talk about what we need to do after we played our first 3 turns. The mid game is all about getting value from Dale's ability, controlling the board, and card draw. We're going to add more characters to the board, draw cards with our items and action cards, and we're going to remove our opponent's characters to gain control of the board. We're playing the following cards in our mid game: Cheshire Cat, Genie, Iago, Madame Mim, Elsa, Mr. Incredible, Junior Woodchuck Guidebook, Ohana Means Family, and the Horseman Strikes. Cheshire Cat is already a solid card with 3 strength and 4 willpower, but its real power comes from its boost ability. Once per turn, you may pay 2 ink to put the top card of your deck face down under Cheshire Cat. Every time you do, you can move up to 2 damage counters from one character to an opposing character. This does 2 things. First, it keeps your high power characters safe by moving damage off them. Secondly, he helps remove opposing characters in multiple ways. He can send back the damage done by opposing characters or by challenging into characters and immediately moving his damage onto an opposing character. Keep in mind that opponents will look to remove him quickly, so choose carefully when to exert him. You don't want to lose this character. Genie is one of your best turn 4 plays. He's evasive, draws a card when he enters play, and quests for 2 lore. In many matchups, Genie forces your opponents in an awkward position. If they ignore him, he keeps generating lore. If they try to deal with him, they often have to play in action, sing songs, or challenge with multiple characters. And now with Deo, Genie is not attacking for 2, but for 4. Iago is a forecast character with 4 strength, 6 willpower, evasive, and vanish. Since most characters can't challenge him, opponents often need action cards to deal with him. If they don't have one, Iago can quickly become a huge problem. And with Deo on the board, he now deals 6 damage, turning him into an absolute nightmare. Now the Mim Elephant is the card you want to play soon after Deo gets on the board. With 3 strength and 7 willpower, she becomes a powerhouse. Plus, when you play her, you can return another character of yours to your hand, giving you the option to replay abilities like Genie, Elsa, or Hades. She is one of the most dangerous characters in the deck once Deo is in play. Elsa, the 5th Spirit, comes in as a 5-cost rush character, meaning she can challenge the turn she enters play. And when she enters, you can exert an opposing character, helping you to remove a character that was staying ready forever. And with Deo in play, she can now deal 5 damage, enough to remove most mid-sized threats. So when your opponent has a character that needs to go right away, Elsa is the answer. Then we have a new Wilds Unknown character that costs 5 ink to play. Mrs. Incredible is a card that gives you an option each turn. At the start of your turn, you choose one. Either she gains evasive until the start of your next turn, making her hard to remove or being able to challenge that annoying evasive character, or she gets +1 lore this turn, making her quest for 2 lore instead of 1. And with 5 strength and 6 willpower, she is now dealing 6 damage with Deo. And of course, we need cards to keep the engine running. Our first support card is our 2-cost item, Junior Woodchuck Guidebook. You can banish it for 1 to draw 2 cards. It's very simple, efficient, and helps you fill your hand. Our second draw card is Ohana Means Family, a 3-cost action that removes all damage from a chosen character of yours and draws a card for each damage removed this way. This is your healing and draw engine in one. When played at the right time, it can draw you multiple cards while fully healing your character. Then we have the Horseman Strikes. It is a 3-cost action that draws a card and lets you banish a chosen character with evasive. In a meta where Blurple exists and Amethyst is very popular, evasive characters are commonly used. This card will definitely help you remove those, and if you're not playing against an evasive deck, you can simply put it in your inkwell or use it to draw a card. It's a win-win. In summary, the mid-game is about gaining control of the board, gaining lore, and filling your hand with cards. By the time you reach the late game, your board should be wide, well protected, and generating lore when possible. The late game is about staying in control and closing it out before your opponent can find a way back. We're playing the following cards in our late game: Hades and Demona. Hades is one of your most important late game cards. When you play Hades, you can choose an opposing character. If you do, you draw 2 cards, unless your opponent puts that character on the bottom of their deck. At this stage of the game, most opponents don't want to lose their characters, which lets you draw 2 cards, which is great to provide you more options. Hades is especially powerful when both players are low on cards. In those situations, 2 extra cards can be the difference between winning and losing. Demona is your backup option for card draw and exerting characters. When she enters play, she exerts all opposing characters, making it easy to challenge their whole board. She's perfect for resetting the board when your opponent is about to gain control. In addition, she lets each player with fewer than 3 cards in hand draw up to 3 cards, helping you when you cannot find cards like Genie, Ohanamin's Family, or Junior Woodchuck Guidebook. However, be careful. If your opponent is also low on cards, they will benefit from this effect too. With 5 strength, 6 willpower, and 2 lore, she's difficult to remove and provides a lot of endgame value. The plan is simple: quest safely, use Cheshire Cat to manage damage on your board, and let Demona, Madame Mim, Iago, or Elsa remove any characters standing in your way. Now let's talk about mulligans. A strong opening hand can make all the difference. For this deck, the most important cards you are looking for is a 1-drop, Grandmother Willow, Dale, and a 4 or 5 cost character to follow up with. I will walk you through 3 hands and share what I would keep. In our first hand, we're on the play. That means we will go first. We've got Will-O-the-Wisp, Iago, Raja, Dale, Genie, Cheshire Cat, and Demona. This hand is actually pretty good already. We have a 1-drop and Dale. What we're missing here is Grandmother Willow. We want a player on turn 2 to be able to play Dale on turn 3. Therefore, I would mulligan Iago, Raja, Genie, Cheshire Cat, and Demona. The reason I would mulligan our 3 and 4 cost characters is that we play many of them in the deck. Even though Cheshire Cat is a really good option, we need Grandmother Willow on turn 2. And now we have 5 chances to draw into her. Also, our second hand has Dale already. For this one, we're on the play again. We got Ellen Wee, Will-O-the-Wisp, Iago, Demona, Genie, Madame Mim, and Dale. Just like our last hand, we've got a 1-drop and Dale, which is not bad at all. What we're missing is Grandmother Willow. I would mulligan Iago, Demona, Genie, and Madame Mim. The reason I would keep both 1-drops is that they give us something to play on turn 2 if we don't draw Grandmother Willow. In our last hand, we're on the draw. We've got Hades, Junior Woodchuck Guidebook, Will-O-the-Wisp, Mrs. Incredible, Cheshire Cat, another Will-O-the-Wisp, and Grandmother Willow. Since we're on the draw, it would be great to draw into Christopher Robin for our 1-drop. For this match, we already have Grandmother Willow in our hand. But now we're missing Dale. I would keep 1 Will-O-the-Wisp, Cheshire Cat, and Grandmother Willow, and I would mulligan the rest. Since we're going second, we want to keep Cheshire Cat in our hand and play a bit more aggressively to establish board control faster. Cheshire Cat's ability to move damage will help us remove opposing characters. Now that you know which cards are in the deck and when they are played, we need to look at what Ember Amethyst does well and where it can struggle. The biggest strength of this deck is Dale. Once Dale hits the board, almost every character in the deck becomes a threat that your opponent can safely challenge without losing their own characters. It makes Dale one of the most useful cards in Wilds Unknown, and it can come down as early as turn 3 with Grandmother Willow's discount. The deck is extremely hard to interact with once the engine is running. Dale doesn't have to exert for his ability to be active, and same goes for Grandmother Willow. Iago, Elsa, and Genie are evasive and cannot be challenged by most characters. Mrs. Incredible can protect herself with evasive every turn, and Cheshire Cat makes challenging a lot more difficult for your opponents. The deck has great card draw options. Genie, Hades, Junior Woodchuck Guidebook, Ohanamin's Family, and Demona all help you to get cards. You rarely run out of options, and in longer games that card advantage will help you win the game. Demona provides you a reset button when your opponents try to go white. By exerting their entire board, you have the option to remove all their characters. The first weakness of this deck is that it's built around Dale. If your opponent can remove Dale through action cards or characters like Elsa, your high willpower characters become less scary straight away. For example, Madame Mim going down from 7 damage to 3 is significantly less impressive. The engine needs some time to get going. Against decks that can flood the board before turn 4, Dale and your high willpower characters often come down a little too late. Finally, Madame Mim's ability can sometimes work against you. If you're not careful about when you use it or when you don't have any cards in hand, it can cost you tempo rather than gain it. And that's going to wrap up the full breakdown of Amber Amethyst. Here is the full deck list. You will notice we run a lot of 2, 3, and 4 drops. We're using that Grandmother Willow to get cards on the board earlier and quicker. This deck rewards knowing when to quest and when to challenge. And once the deal engine is running, it is really fun to play in the current meta. Amber Amethyst has multiple versions, and if you want to experiment, there are a few options to consider for you. For example, you could add a Raging Storm to have a stronger reset button. You could add Olaf to have another bounce option, Lantern to make your characters even cheaper, or Dumbo to have more card draw. In the end, they're all solid options. It just comes down to your personal playstyle and what is played in your local area. If you want to try the deck yourself, you can find the full list on Dreamborn. Just scan the QR code on the screen or check the link in the description. If you enjoyed this guide, hit the like button, subscribe for more Lorcana content, and let me know in the comments which deck you're currently playing and which you want to know more about. Until next time, bye!